Dear students, in today's class I am going to introduce you to Imtiaz Dharker and her poetry. Imtiaz Dharker is a British poet, artist, and documentary filmmaker. She was born in 1954 in Lahore, Pakistan, but her family moved from there when she was less than a year old to Glasgow, Scotland. And as such, she was brought up in England, and for now she lives between London and Mumbai. Due to her cultural hybridity, she describes herself as a Pakistani Scottish Calvinist Muslim adopted by India and married into Wales. She loves freedom and says that don't try to put me in a box. Her poetry is a confluence of three cultures of three countries, and this reflects and depicts her deeply sensitive and keenly insightful understanding and response to these three cultures. A writer is a making of his age and environment. The circumstances of one's life shapes one as a human being as well as a writer also, if he or she is interested in writing. So the events of her life shapes her writing also, and because of this, now I am going to tell you about her marriage. She marries Anil Dharker, an Indian, a famous journalist and writer and editor of the magazine Debonair. Her marrying a non-Muslim reveals that she is a person with very independent and unconventional ideas. She rebelled against the orthodox aspect of her religion and her community in real life. Her second husband was Simon Powell, founder of the organization Poetry Live. But he died in 2009 after surviving for 11 years with cancer. Imtiaz is a very famous poet of England, and her major works are her 7 books of poetry collections, namely number 1, Parda and Other Poems, published in 1988, then Postcards from God, it was published in 1997. Next, I Speak for the Devil, published in 2001. Then, The Terrorist at My Table, published in 2006. After this, next collection was Leaving Fingerprints. It was published in 2009. Then, Over the Moon, it got published in 2014, and Luck is the Hook, published in 2018. As I have told you, Dharker is also a documentary filmmaker and has written she has written and directed over 100 films and audiovisuals also, focusing on education, reproductive health, and shelter for women and children. Now we talk about the major themes of her poetry. She writes about home, about freedom, journeys, geographical and cultural displacement, identity crisis, then communal conflict And of course, gender politics is there. She very sincerely and efficiently handles the issues of social, cultural, and religious significance and sensitizes the readers with the power of her words. She lives with the passion of an undaunted rebel, neither to retreat and nor to fail. The intensity and eloquence of her life and poetic accomplishment have dumbfounded the male chauvinists and have left her female counterparts in soaring spirits, not only inside the Islamic social, cultural, and religious setup, but also outside it. That's why her life and poetry make a fascinating study in the crushing indictment of the suppressive perspective against the freedom, dignity, and respectful living of women, especially in the Muslim society. Imtiaz confirms our convictions that socio-cultural and socio-religious restrictions on women have robbed them, or say deprived them, of all their potentialities, leaving them not only physically and mentally handicapped, but also psychologically toned age after age. In her poetry, Imtiaz honestly expresses her life experiences with courage and conviction. Her humanistic and feministic concerns, along with her anguish and agony, are well expressed through her poetry. She advocates for women's freedom and rights through her poetry and awakens us to the wrongs and songs of the daily life of women under the norms, rules, and sanctions laid down by the patriarchal society for power dynamics. Students, this year in your syllabus in paper 9th women's writing, you have 3 representative poems of Imtiaz Dharker, and they are Prayer, Choice, and Parda 1 and Parda 2, part 2. And in my next class, I'll discuss with you her famous poem Parda. Till then, thank you.